Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 22nd episode of Live from the Adelphi PAC Living Room. My name is Blythe Daylong. I am the Executive Director at the Adelphi University Performing Arts Center. It is a pleasure to have you all here watching with us again this week via Facebook, via YouTube, and all of our various departmental pages, as well as the Performing Arts Center. So thank you for joining us for the show tonight. While we aren't able to have audiences in person, we are continuing to bring Adelphi's talented students, faculty, staff, alumni, and other great guests to you each week via this program, as well as some upcoming performances throughout the fall semester that we're going to be talking about on the show today. So tonight we're going to be welcoming acclaimed pianist Philip Edward Fisher to share some music with us that's been all of which actually has been recorded at the Performing Arts Center in the past. And then I'll be talking with some of our departmental chairs about the upcoming fall season and to give you kind of a preview of what we have coming up in terms of performances from our students throughout the fall. And then we'll close out the show with a little more music from Philip. So to get things started, it is my pleasure to welcome a great friend of Adelphi and the Performing Arts Center, Philip Edward Fisher. Hello, sir.
How are you?
I'm all right. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you for taking the time to join us tonight. I really appreciate it very much. It's great to have you here, and I love that everything we're going to be showing tonight are things that we actually recorded at Adelphi, and so it's nice to look at the concert hall and see music going on there. So.
Exactly. I feel as though I'm part of the Adelphi family now. So
absolutely. I mean, you've been there multiple times over the years. You've performed with the Adelphi Symphony as a soloist. You've done your own solo concerts. You've done a bunch of special events that were put together with our friends Louis and Julie Panulo.
Yep.
So a big thank you to them for a lot that they've done on those connections. So now, where are you coming to us from this evening?
I'm in New York City, in my apartment in New York City. So I've been here pretty much since beginning of February. I got back from London early on in February.
Okay.
Actually, no, then I went back to London and I came back again beginning of March. And I've been here pretty much ever since. So mostly isolating in lockdown. But
sure. Yeah. I mean, welcome. Right. Yeah. But great. No, I'm glad that you have been here. How are you doing? How's your summer been? How's the fall?
On the whole, it's been good. Given the circumstances, I've been trying to keep as busy as I can with various projects. Obviously, as a performing musician, this is not the most active time, but I've been lucky that I've been able to find other projects and sort of keeping as busy as I can, really. And
which is all that most everyone is doing, especially all of us in the performing arts in particular, is like, okay, well, what can we do to try and make this work in the meantime? So
it's a fluid situation. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and luckily, I mean, you've been doing some work doing this that we're going to talk about in a minute. But before we do that, let's share some music right away with folks. Tell us about this first piece that we're going to hear from you before we begin.
Okay, so I believe this is the Chopin Ballade.
Correct.
Chopin Ballade number 4 in F minor. And I think this was, if I'm not mistaken, this was from 2016. I think a recital I did in 2016. So it's going back a little bit.
Okay.
It was a program I did of all of the ballades and all of the Chopin impromptus sort of interwoven. I would sort of alternate ballade, a couple of impromptus ballade, and then the same thing after the intermission. So this is a fantastic piece of music. I mean, it's one of the greatest sort of piano pieces ever written. Part of the collection of 4 ballades of Chopin. Each of them is a masterpiece in its own right. But there's something about this 4th ballade that is particularly special. It's very difficult, not necessarily in the technical sense, although it has immense technical challenges. In a musical sense, to really bring it off is quite difficult, to really get that sense of architecture that it needs. Hopefully I got close to that.
I mean,
I guess we're just about to find out.
I certainly think so, and hopefully everyone feels the same as we share this great piece of music with everyone. So please enjoy. Wonderful to see that again.
It is lovely to see the whole again. It's such a fantastic performance space, I must say. It's a beautiful place to play in. So.
I mean, and it's especially when we're filling it with great music like that. It's always good to see. Thank you for sharing that with us. I will encourage everyone. Philip has a number of recordings out there that are available everywhere you get your music, wherever it is you get your music nowadays. If you search for Philip Edward Fisher, you will find multiple recordings of his. If you head to YouTube and just search for his name, you'll find a bunch more performances, several more from Adelphi, as well as other videos that you've done, and a great project that we were able to work together on this summer. We had you at the concert hall back in
socially distanced.
That's right. Well, I mean, it's easy when you're a solo piano player, and we can have you on the stage, and the rest of us are off somewhere else entirely.
Right.
So,
exactly.
It worked out very nicely. So, tell us about this project that you did for the Guggenheim.
Yeah, I mean, this was a fantastic project to work on. It actually just released last night on the Guggenheim Works and Process site, the YouTube channel. They release on Instagram, Facebook, and through their regular website. So this was really sort of a fascinating project that came about spontaneously this summer. The story sort of went actually towards the end of March. I came down quite badly with COVID-19, and I was quite sick really for about a month. And the same was true of a very good friend of mine and colleague, the composer Richard Thomas, who probably best known here for being the composer of Jerry Springer, the opera. He was the librettist on the Anna Nicole Smith opera. He's done a whole bunch of really, really interesting things. He's a fantastic composer. And he got sick pretty much around the same time, and he was isolating in London. He's a London-based British composer.
Okay.
I was here in New York City, and we were in a lot of contact during that time. We kept in touch, and we were sort of comparing the experience with the virus and talking about lockdown and the aspects of it as a musician and just as a person in general. And then he was commissioned by the Guggenheim Works and Process to write something for their virtual commissions, which was a series that they've been having over the whole summer period.
Right.
And he was inspired to write what he called the COVID-19 variations. So it's 19 short pieces, each with its own particular title that sort of tells a story or a narrative of firstly lockdown, and then the emerging virus, and then actually the experience of having the virus itself.
Right.
And it's quite an amazing piece. So he was constantly sending me these new movements. And it was a pretty amazing thing as a musician, because generally when we're playing a piece, we sort of have to conjure up a narrative or conjure up a story with which to help us sort of really bring across an interpretation of a piece. With this, I didn't have to. He would say something, and I knew immediately what he was trying to portray, because I'd experienced it, both in terms of experiencing lockdown itself and then experiencing the virus.
Right.
So that was actually kind of an amazing experience and quite moving in a way, especially as it was the first real project that I was coming back to after having been sick and finally recovering.
Right.
And then so we had to quickly work towards where we were going to film this. And it was amazing, firstly, how quickly he produced the music. He writes incredibly fast. And then, of course, I came to you, and we realized that Adelphi was really the sort of perfect space. It needed to be a space that was large enough to sort of bring across that idea of isolation that everybody has been experiencing during this period.
Yep.
People locked down, many people alone, I'm sure, as I was during this time. But also not so large that it didn't have a sense of intimacy, because
Right.
it has a sense of intimacy in its sort of genesis, the piece. So Adelphi was really the perfect spot, and I was very grateful to you to help so much in making that happen. And we brought on a good friend of mine, Dr. Louis Panulo, who as the producer, and he did some fantastic work in helping get the team together to produce what I think was a pretty good result.
Yeah.
In the end, and
especially given the circumstances, if nothing else, but also even ignoring that, it turned out really well. I mean, I'm really excited about getting to share some pieces of this tonight and pushing people over to find the rest. So so we're going to see a couple little segments from it, from the overall piece. So tell us about these first two of the variations that we're going
So really, I would say that it's not exactly half and half, but the piece sort of divides into two sections in a sense, because initially it deals in quite a humorous way with some of the aspects of lockdown and I think things that everybody can relate to. And then later on it moves into dealing with sort of getting the virus itself, and it becomes a very serious work, and actually a very, very moving one. And I think Richard did a fantastic job of combining humor and ultimately being very moving and being very serious, because ultimately the subject matter is very serious.
Right.
So many people. He has a particular talent for this. I say that this is really his thing, that he can make something humorous, entertaining, very moving, all at the same time. Is particularly particularly skilled at that, and this piece exemplifies it perfectly. So I believe the first two we're going to hear two very short sections. The first one is called Stir Crazy, which I think speaks for itself. You can hear in the music it has this feeling of almost being driven crazy by the situation that everyone found themselves in, and not being able to get out, not being able to experience, life as we know it. Immediately followed by a very humorous one called diazepam versus Adderall, which sort of exemplifies the two states that one might find themselves in if they were taking those drugs. So you hear that it begins with this swinging kind of very bluesy, chill kind of music, and then it goes absolutely crazy. And then from then on, he brilliantly brings those two things together. You're hearing the way, particularly at the end, it has this very humorous ending where it's in the middle of the craziness, but then it harks back to that sort of soft, much more chill music. So you'll hear the way he does that. It's quite amazing. So enjoy these first two.
Great. Delightful, wonderful. So now, so those are both. Those are obviously they're together, and they're early on, as you said in the piece. So we're going to listen to one more segment, one more of the variations. That's a little bit later. So tell us about this one.
Yeah. So I mean, as you can hear, that's really coming to the sort of apex of the story of lockdown. And then there's a couple of other funny titles. There's a COVID hair, which is particularly funny. Zoom gloom. Obvious titles that everyone can sort of relate.
Yep.
And then the piece really kind of makes a turn suddenly. It then suddenly has a movement called Suddenly Feeling Rough, which sort of, the first feeling of kind of getting into the virus, which Richard obviously experienced and I experienced. And then there's a series of movements. There's a fever night, dealing with the feeling of a feverish night. And it really becomes very serious and it becomes very, very moving. Now, this movement that we're just about to hear is one of my very favorite movements from the piece. It's particularly evocative, particularly atmospheric. It's really almost trance-like. It has this repeating middle C all the way through, which is almost like a sort of heartbeat or a bell tolling. I mean, you can sort of think of it in so many different ways. And it's called Going Under. So I think it's really this feeling of suddenly feeling ill, and then the feeling of really just slipping into that illness, or the illness sort of taking you over and really pulling you in against your will. And it's kind of amazing because I completely related to the feeling as I was playing it, and that's a pretty unusual position to be in.
Yeah.
So this is a particular favorite movement of mine. It's particularly beautiful. So I think it really shows this other side to this work. So I hope you enjoy it.
Great.
Complete change of mood.
I mean, right? It's like a totally different piece of music, but not.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that I think what's it's really great. It's really a wonderful piece. I have been lucky enough to see the whole thing, to be there while you were recording it as well. But so the whole thing, I will say, is just a little over 20 minutes.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, it just premiered yesterday on the Guggenheim's various social media sites, which is why we've got you here tonight. I would say the easiest way and the way people are going to get the best quality is if they just search on YouTube for the Guggenheim Museum, go to their YouTube channel, and you will see it there. It's right on their homepage as part of their Works in Process series. If you go to their page, you'll see it right there under their virtual commissions. The COVID-19 variations, you'll see it on their page. So I highly encourage everyone to check that out and see the piece in its entirety. Thank you again for reaching out to us. We are so thrilled to have been a part of this. Thank you to Louis Panullo and his team for that he pulled together to actually do the recording in our space. We're going to hear a little more music from you at the end of the show. Another of your Chopin pieces to close things out. But
thank you, Blythe, for having me. It was a real pleasure to be here. And again, I just want to extend thanks to you and Adelphi University for really making that possible in such a difficult time. And to my producer and friend Louis Panullo, if he's watching, just say hi. And to Julie Panullo, his wife, and all the family. And also Richard, if he's out there, Richard Thomas, fantastic composer. And I really encourage anybody to find more of Richard's stuff.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun at Jerry Springer the Opera.
You saw it?
I did. I saw it when it was off Broadway. Yeah, it really was. It was great. It was a great show.
Yeah.
So I love that he's connected to this, and this is some more music from him. So thank you again so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And
thank you, Blythe.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see you again soon, hopefully.
See you again, I hope. Take care.
Absolutely. Take care. So we are now going to shift gears a little and talk about some of the other great programming we have coming up this fall at the Performing Arts Center. Before we get specifically to the Performing Arts Center, I do want to remind everyone to visit the university website and check out there's a lot of fantastic programming going on throughout the university. They've got some great guest speakers. There's some political guests coming up. There's virtual classes that you can take, some little mini classes on Thursday afternoons from various places throughout the university. So really do take a moment to check them out. There's fantastic events of all different kinds, all free and available to anyone. Now that we're doing everything virtually, it's much easier for us to invite people in. So, but with that, we're going to focus more on to what we are doing at the Performing Arts Center this fall. So clearly things are going to look very different. Unfortunately, we are not able to welcome people in person for audiences, but we have put together a great set of performances especially from our students, that allows us to show off their talents, but does keep everyone safe in the process, both our performers and you, by staying home, and everyone involved. So the schedule is constantly changing. It's constantly evolving. We're adding things all the time. We have a number of things in the works that we haven't put there yet. So I do encourage you, as always, to visit the Performing Arts Center's website. Check that out. We have some information there. You'll be able to start reserving tickets to things hopefully later this week, certainly by next week at the latest. And as I said, we will be adding things. So while you're there, please make sure you sign up for our mailing list, our e-newsletter. We're going to be sending those out once a week this fall, since there's so much stuff going on, and keeping you up to date with all the latest things that have been added. So all of our student performances will be presented online, and they will all be free. All of our student performances will be free to everyone. You may still need to reserve a ticket, because we do want to know who's going to be there and be able to reach out to folks, but there won't be a charge for any of that, because we want to share this as widely as we possibly can. So joining me tonight to talk about their performances from their students are some of our chairs from our performing arts department. So I'm going to start first up with the chair of our Department of Dance, Orion Duckstein. Welcome, Orion.
Hi there, Blythe. Good to be here.
It's good to have you. Thank you so much for taking some time this evening to tell us about what you guys are up to over in dance. Before we get to your performances, how is the semester going so far? We do have folks in person, and we're a few weeks into the semester, so.
We are mostly in person, but we're also dealing with every combination of remote and in-person student, teacher, and musician, all at the same time.
Right, because you still are having live music for most of your classes, right?
Every class is live music, which obviously for dancing, it's fantastic. It's the way it should be. We get something to interact with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yet your musicians are also not necessarily in the room or not even necessarily in the state, right?
Correct. One of them just moved to Colorado right before we started. He figured it's over with his partner. His roommate it was time to move, and something came up, and he's been phoning in from there, but it's been sounding great.
That's fantastic. And the instructors as well. So it really is a great, and some of your students are home, some of your students are here. So as you said, it's a mix of everything. It is amazing to see what you guys have done and how well between what you learned in the spring and what you worked on over the summer, it really seems to be going, I mean, as well as can be expected given the circumstances. So.
Yeah, knock wood.
Yeah, right. Which is also how we're hopeful and excited and looking forward to actually being able to have a dance Adelphi this fall. Your dancers will be live in the Olmsted as of now, and that is how we're so we'll have several performances. Each night will be live. Tell us about what you've got planned for Dance Adelphi.
Well, I think we really wanted to go with the live performances and the live streaming because that's really that's what we're training for, and we didn't want to have to pivot to learning how to make films and good ones quickly. So we have some really exciting things coming up. We have Frank Augustine will choreograph another classical work or restage a classical work. I am working on with two casts of some things that were inspired by what is that show? The with Krista Tippett. I had John O'Donohue, the poet John O'Donohue, on a radio show with Krista Tippett. Now I can't remember what the name of the show is, but I have it downloaded and I listened to it, and some of his words have inspired this piece that I'll be working on. Jennifer Kreischman is going to be choreographing a new ballet to the music of one of our musicians, Brad Harris. And Adelphi Strelick is going to be working on a really interesting piece that involves some of our remote students on film or on video, as well as live performers in the space simultaneously. And that also is going to have a new piece of music by Carson Moody, one of our other musicians.
That's great. I love that we've been able to commission some music for this. That's great thing that we've done a few times in the past, and hopefully we'll be able to work. And I do not doubt that Adelheid is trying something incredibly ambitious, with a bunch of moving parts she always does, So,
exactly.
So that'll be fun to see. And there's more.
There's also a guest choreographer this semester. We have Winston Dynamite Brown coming in. He's a New York-based choreographer, although he and his wife are waiting out the pandemic in Kansas City. So he's actually going to start choreographing the piece remotely, and then hopefully show up to finish. So that's been pretty interesting. I mean, even the auditions, there he was on screen, in addition to an assistant that he had sent to run the audition. Also, Dynamite is his real middle name on his birth certificate and everything. Yep. And I think the other thing that's really exciting about having him is that he's danced for so many different people. He has a ton of different influences. So in addition to working for Paul Taylor for a short time, maybe about 3 years, then he went over to Pilobolus, a very different kind of dance company. And then since leaving Pilobolus, he's worked with people like Camille Brown, Stephanie Batten Bland, Sean Curran, and John Higginbottom, among a number of others. I think Complexions also.
Great.
So he's got this broad range of influences, and I'm really looking forward to what he's going to put together with our students.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really glad that we are able to include, obviously, our faculty that work with him all the time, but that we're still able to find a way to bring in a guest safely and have them work with our students, because that's such an important thing, is to work with somebody that doesn't see them every day and
Right.
that, is looking at them fresh and giving them those opportunities, and also brings a different voice into the room for everything we're doing this fall. So that's really fantastic. So as I said, that will be live. It is in mid-November, right before Thanksgiving.
November 18th, we open.
Is when that's coming. There'll be a few performances of it. All of them will be live. There's some multiple casts and various things going on there. So you will find more details about that on our website. You will need to reserve tickets in advance, but again, they'll be free. So, and then on that Sunday, right after, we're going to do Dance Showcase, where our students are going to show some of their work that they've been working on in their own choreography and some other class projects and things like that. And we'll be putting that out pretty widely. So keep an eye out, everyone, for those. Thank you, Orion, for being here to give us a little sneak peek of what's in store. Do you have anything else you want to add before I let you go?
I think we're all just so happy to be in the PAC together and working in person.
Yeah,
I think that's something I'm really grateful for. It
has been really great to see the activity in the building again.
Yeah.
Obviously a lot less of it and not as close, but it's still there, and it's so different. So it's great. Well, good. Well, thank you again.
Thanks. Also, I've got to have some of my students look up some of Philip Edward Fisher's performances. So I just loved his sense of musicality, and that's something I've been working on with the advanced students already in the semester. And I just for them to see a physical example of it.
Yeah, he has some really fantastic things out there, and many of his concerts, Lewis has come and filmed and does a really wonderful job of filming them. And yeah, the entirety of these COVID-19 variations it's really a fun, lovely piece of music. So, so it's great.
Excellent.
Good. That's great. Good to see you, Orion. I will see you back at the PAC.
That's right.
Take care. So next up, we are going to talk about our Department of Music and their plans. Now, unfortunately, Sydney and I have spent all day back and forth on various devices in various rooms trying to get things to work, and it just was not happening. Things were not cooperating. Either he could see me and I couldn't see him, or all kinds of things. So I'm going to be telling you about the Department of Music and what they have going on. Sydney Bokiran, their chair, sends his regards and love and everything, and we'll have him on later in the semester to talk through things once we figure out our technical problems. But there really are two main things that I want to focus on, and that he wanted to focus on, that the Department of Music is doing. They are their ensembles. Almost all of them are working remotely. They are working on their pieces individually and filming things and piecing them together, or coming together into the concert hall and filming them. So at the beginning of November, we will be having Adelphi's Best of Broadway that will be filming elements at home, filming some things in the PAC. A great, always a favorite program of audiences. We are thrilled to welcome Megan Gerlach, who will be directing the program and that show this semester, along with Steve Altanel, who will be back to be the music director. That will be online and in early November, a series of performances that very first weekend of November for Best of Broadway. And then on November 18th, we are really thrilled and honored that the Adelphi Symphony Orchestra will be presenting a virtual concert and a remote concert to celebrate, as part of the celebration of the 75th anniversary of the ratification of the UN Charter. We are partnering with the UN on this program, and really are looking forward to sharing that on Wednesday, November 18th in November. And then as soon as we're back, we'll break for Thanksgiving. And then throughout December, all of our ensembles, the chorale, the jazz ensemble, the concert band, many of our flute ensembles, our smaller groups, our opera theater, all will be presenting recorded recitals throughout the month of December. So we look forward to sharing those as well. So that's music in the nutshell. Again, you can visit our website. There's more details there about some of it. There's more details coming as things come together. So that's what music is up to. And I am happy to next welcome whose technology is working today, to talk with Nick Petron, the chair of our Department of Theater. Hello, Nick.
Hey, Blythe, how are you?
I am all right. I'm all right.
I
Things
like
are going well, other than Sydney's Wi-Fi, but sometimes
Right.
there's only so much you can do. We're making it work. So
Good.
how has the semester been going so far for you and your students?
Well, we sort of got a leg up in March and through the end of the semester, working virtually. However, this semester, we are doing both. So classes that meet twice a week, most of them are meeting in person one day and then online the other day. So we're getting used to it. We're in a rhythm, and it's working well.
Great, excellent. I mean, I know that it's these are the kind of things that everyone always wonders how you make them work virtually. So it's nice that we have a bunch of options and we're doing what we can. So now you guys have several performances coming up over the next couple of months, beginning in the middle of October, with something that is being created virtually and online. So tell us about the things that you guys have in the works.
Well, that first piece is The Odd Geometry of Time, and it's written by Megan Loney and directed by Shoshana Tarkow. Let me read a little bit of what they wrote. It's an exploration of an intersectional feminism and climate change through the guise of a nature documentary following the lives of several notable women from history over the last 260 years, and one very spirited bowhead whale named Galena, which will be done live. The production's first fully virtual theatrical event, live performance, technology, and more. We're really excited about it. And I think the kids are, the cast is, the director and writers are. We're looking forward to it.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, Megan and Shoshana are both alums and have worked on odd projects with our students over the past that don't necessarily follow the usual rules of things. So I know that they're going to put to something really together. Great. Most of the cast is at home. There's a few people that are sharing dorm rooms with people. So we're scattering them in individual rooms throughout the PAC. We've got a puppet in the black box. So there's a lot going on with that one. And again, that will be all performed live. Each night it'll be a new performance, but they'll all be on Zoom and we'll be broadcasting that out. So it's great.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. Yeah, it's very exciting. That'll be followed up by two Idris Goodwin plays. The first one directed by, excuse me, it's pollen season. The first one, yeah, I'm telling you. The first one directed by Erin Quinn, and probably four cast members. And the second one directed by Anton Monsieur, who is a graduate of Adelphi and a graduate of Columbia, where he got his master's. Brooklyn College, I'm sorry, not Columbia. And we're excited to have him on board. And both of the Idris Goodwin plays really deal with racial issues, strife and humor, if you will. So we're excited about those. They'll be followed by the freshman first year showcase, which is entirely freshmen and some transfers perhaps, who will be devising a piece. So we don't have a working title yet. And that'll be done in December.
Right.
But yeah, and that's exciting because we don't even know what it is yet.
Right.
But they're working on
it. Right. And now that one they're actually filming and piecing together. So that'll actually be a filmed piece. That's not live. They'll be filming the pieces along the way, right? Isn't that the plan, or has that changed?
Well, they're still working on, do we want to do all film pieces or some live segments? So that
Okay. All right.
it's
Great.
still
Might
in,
be a combination.
yeah, still in development.
Great.
And the last piece, which we end every year with, a reading of the Christmas Carol. This time it'll
Great.
be virtual, but a real soundscape will surround it for the first time. So we're looking forward to that as well to round out the holiday season.
Yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun. I know that's something that we have a lot of people that look forward to that every year and come to that every year in the Olmsted. So I'm glad we're able to continue that tradition. I will back up on and say that the two Idris Goodwin plays are both going to be in the black box, again, performed live in the theater, but broadcast virtually, so that each of those performances will be different. We'll still have that live element, and we look forward to doing that. And I'm hoping that we'll actually be hosting a talk with Idris Goodwin at some point in the mix later this fall that we'll be able to share, and that'll be a public event where he'll talk a little and about his work and his pieces. So I'm looking forward to welcoming him, hopefully to talk with our students before the performances and then to do something more public after. So we're
That would
really
be
thrilled
fabulous.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Well, we're excited. Even though we're, working around new modalities, it seems every day.
Yeah.
People are adjusting and excited about new adjustment. Adapt and incorporate.
Right. We're all just trying to make it work. So
Yeah.
good. Well, thank you. Thank you for that, Nick. There's some great things that we're looking forward to. So I appreciate you also taking the time to be here tonight and share that information with us. And we're looking forward to everything we have going on with our students. So thanks,
Thank
Nick.
you. My pleasure. Have a good evening.
Yep. I'll see you later in the week.
Yeah, look forward to hearing Philip again. It's beautiful work.
Yeah, we've got a couple more things from him in a second. So yeah, he's really fantastic. I'm glad we were able to get him here and that we've been able to show him so much at the concert hall. So I'll see you later, Nick. Thanks again.
Have a good evening. You're welcome.
Talk to you soon. And with that, a reminder, please visit the PAC's website. Sign up for our e-newsletter. There's a button right on the front page. You can see we've got some of our events already on there. As I said, we will be ticketing things, and that will be coming very soon, maybe later this week, but certainly by next week to make that available. So as I said a couple times, we have thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you for being with us this week and the weeks in the past. We have a great show planned next week. We have two of our alums from the Department of Music coming back. We're going to bring them to the concert hall later this week, film some performances of them specifically for the show, and then we'll be sharing that with you next week. So there is some fun projects to look forward to. For now, as promised, we'll have a little more music from Philip Edward Fisher. First up will be one of Chopin's etudes, the Aeolian Harp, followed by a quick cell phone recording, actually, of the always entertaining Flight of the Bumblebee. So please stay safe and healthy. I look forward to seeing you next week. And with that, enjoy just a little bit more from Philip Edward Fisher.